Hi everyone, it's Cherie from Paper Pieces and Leftovers. I am going to record paper piecing Cruella in real time. And let me tell you about all these dots. This isn't even all of them. There are so many. Goodness gracious, those are the eyes. But this is all the orders I got. I put all these dots one by one in my sticker maker. That way I can just peel them off and put them on her little coat. So I am using art glitter glue. I put them in my bottles, as you guys know. And I already glued all of my hairs together, unfortunately, as I had to stop myself. I was trying to get ahead of the game by gluing all of the shoes and the hair together. So what I did is, once I got the hair in the perfect place, I created just an outline stencil and I laid her hair into it. Let me move her. I laid my hair onto it, and what I did is I glued the middles together. That way they stuck. And afterwards, what we're gonna do, because they've already been placed, is we just glue her body down to it and it'll pick the hair right up. I did the same thing for the cigarette for me, for the arm, and for the arm placements. I'll get to the arms in a minute because they're a little wonky. That's the least I can say. But needless to say, we're going to start with the shoes here. They have the little black triangles that are going to go behind them. And so what I'm going to do is turn my triangles the longest, where the point would be if it was upright this way. We're going to turn that where the longest point is going to be left or right, depending on what shoe you're going to put it on. And we're going to glue behind her sandal here, or her high heel. When my daughter was little, she used to call these whore heels instead of high heels. She didn't quite grasp the concept, even though she'd wear them and she'd come out and I'd ask her what she was doing and she would tell me she's wearing whore heels. I said, no, those are high heels. Yeah, but I think we've all said inappropriate things. My mom told me that my favorite thing was fucky fried chicken instead of Kentucky fried chicken. But I'm sure that, you know, we all have those really funny stories about vocabulary choices when we're little, right? Even though they're not always appropriate. There was a lady coming out of a store, my mom told me also. I guess I was a pretty bad kid. I almost got her beat up a few times, but the pregnant lady was coming out with her shopping cart, and my mom says, I looked at her with a dead serious face and said, you're fat. My mom said she never pushed a cart so fast in her life. But like I said, we've all got those stories of when we were young, and I hear my daughter in there giggling. Don't mind her. I guess since her brain injury, she forgets she already knows these stories. But yeah, I mean, I did a lot of other horrible stuff growing up, but we won't get into that. That's for another video. So after you get the black part of the heels on, you're going to put the feet on. And I don't think there's really any specific way. I just tried to get a thinner part at the top. That way then it looked like it was even into the shoe. And you'll figure out where you want to place them. It's going to get covered irregardless. So not the whole thing, but a portion of the top of it. So it doesn't really, the focus isn't going to be on these, no matter how uneven you do them. They are going to be hidden quite well. And I had a little too much glue. I should have used the trick my friend told me, but for the nose I'll do it. A friend of mine many years ago, when she used to scrapbook, she'd do lettering, and I say, Sarah, how do you get all of your pieces excuse me, to not have glue bursting from underneath them? She says, put glue on your finger and dab it. I said, well, I would have never thought about that. And that's what she does for her letters. And I already did my eyes just because those do take so long, especially if they're uneven and I don't get the same amount of long strands as I do the short ones. I've noticed that there are a few people that are, their eyes, they've been practicing a lot and they're looking just like mine. I said, wow, that's close. Practice makes perfect. You'll figure out if you want long, short, or for a while I used to do like just random long, short, long, long, short, long, short, short. It just depended on if it was a boy or a girl and then how big the eyes were. But that was more so when I did the eyes from the pattern and didn't use my own eyes. I did create my eyes out of teardrops. And I can show you the program. All of my eyes I created in Adobe Photoshop. I just have the 7, and this is on my laptop, not my Apple, just because my Apple, I don't have the external CD drive. So if I want to create anything, it does make it a PNG, and then that's what you convert into your SVG. But you can watch YouTube videos if there's something that you're dying to make for yourself. Also, don't forget for titles, because I did get somebody that asked, when you make your titles, you just use the offset and design space, and it'll give you the background to it to put your letters on. You can make it as thick or as thin as you like. I normally use 0.10 when I make mine. I think it comes in when you do offset something as 0.25, but then sometimes I do bump it up to 0.15, just depending on if I want it big or not. So we had a lot of wind in California. Sorry, I have the tickle in my throat, plus talking makes it more dry. So when I said that I made the arms because they were a bit wonky, this is why. So this is going to be why I made this. And it's just so I can get some help with the placement, so I'm not having to mess with it every time. Looking at her right arm, but it would be left if she was standing up. This left arm, but looking at it, it's the left looking at it, but it would be her right arm if we turned her around facing the same way we are. But it's going to be left for now. It has like an extra hand, but it would be under her body if we did that. And it looks, or like she would be arm wrestling. I don't know. But anyhow, I left that on instead of cutting it off, even though it drives me crazy. And I put it where it's about halfway and halfway. Halfway on the puff of the jacket and halfway on her body. And I put it down before I glue everything else down. It is up to you. And I mean, technically you could cut this thing off just because it looks really funny, and I'm not gonna lie. You guys know me. I'm very honest about everything. And so I glue it down before I glue anything else down, just because I don't want the arms so far forward. And I did not glue them behind the back because I wanted to ensure that they had just a little bit more strength, especially for milling, there you go. I don't want them bent. As you know, cardstock is thick, but it's not super thick. And I do reinforce it when I do mill them. I put cardstock behind where her cigarette is, so the cigarette doesn't end up bent, or her arm. And then I put it in the envelope. So we're going to glue now the right side on. And I guess I didn't have to get so technical, but some people, well, her right side, you mean the literal right side. Well, she's facing me, so I'm looking at the right side. And this one, I did the same thing, about halfway and halfway. And for the beginning part of it, I did the first one. I did kind of have all these laid over like so. They go down a little more. Just that way I knew what the halfway point was from my sleeve to my body. And the reason I give myself a stencil sometimes is because it isn't super easy to try to get them to look all the same when I'm doing lots of the same pieces. But for the first one, because I didn't want to take her out, I had just laid her over this and glued the other one and then put it on the piece of paper and traced around it. So now after that part's on, the first mistake I made was I had laid her chest down first and my black part over. Let me show you the entire black part because I cut the points off of it already. Oh, I cut them off of all of them. Never mind. So they come with just two little points, like triangles, almost like what we used for the feet. And I didn't see a purpose for it, but I had put this over her here. And when I was looking at the picture, I had noticed that it wasn't round. It was actually this way. So don't glue your chest on first. That's going to go on after we put the black part down. You don't have to glue your arms to the front. You can glue them from the back if you'd like after you're done, or if you forget to put them on, it's not going to be a huge issue. Just glue them on the back. And why you see markings on my pieces, when I work with dark pieces and a light base, I did take the red, go around the heel, and the black part for right between her heels is just because if it's not lined up perfect for me, I don't want to see the peach cardstock. And that's just me. So for this, the black part in between her heels is a lot shorter than the two that you're going to see here, the rounded. Those are for her coat. After you get your black underdress on, now you're going to glue your chest on. And this went by a lot easier, the second piece. And it will go by easier for you guys because you guys will have this to reference. Me, I had to play with it, and like I said, mistakes were made. I had glued the dress down on top of the chest, but it didn't go there. So I had ripped the chest off and left the dress, ripped the chest off, recut out her chest, and then glued it on top. I could have left it down, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I was more just frustrated that I didn't catch that. So for the dots, here's the fun part. There are lots of dots. What I did, one is going to be thicker than the other. The thicker one goes, oh boy, on the outside. Yes. I put them this way so you guys could see. There is a thinner slightly and a thicker. I put the thinner one outside just because it matches the pattern, and the thicker one on the inside. And I laid them here as I put the spots on. You guys do not have to have sticker paper. You guys can glue them down, or I've told you guys about that Cosmic Shimmer glue, the Flake and Glitter glue. That will be perfect for you guys to use as well, because you can actually go ahead and put dots of it on your black pieces, let them dry while you're inking and working, and then you just stick them right to your paper. You won't have as many as I do, but this isn't just a smaller bottle. I do have the bigger bottle over there. I refill the smaller bottle because if anything's super heavy, I drop it. And it's Flake and Glitter glue by Cosmic Shimmer. That's what the symbol looks like. It's just not as bad as my drawing on tape. I'm gonna put that in there, and I lay these down just so I can eyeball the spots because I did copy the pattern. These long ones here are gonna go a little lower. I'm trying not to move her gown. So what I did here is I glued them all in bunches, and I just stuck them in. The longer ones is what I had picked up first. But let me tell you, there are so many of these dots when you do more than one. So fun. Let me work on this half first. Only because I want to make sure that I slide. This is usually where I use my flake and glitter glue. And I did use it on her coat when I did mine, but now that I'm trying to record it, I guess we're gonna do it the hard way. There we go. And the only reason I'm laying these out is just because I want them all pretty much evenly the same on every gown. That way there isn't a discrepancy from the picture. And then we have a couple oval ones, and then ones that almost look like the boomerang channel symbol. They don't have to go, yipes, in the same place as the photo. You can put them anywhere you want. There's no rhyme or reason. I just wanted to try to get it as close to the picture as possible. That way, for people that are new and want it to be an exact duplicate, it at least looked like it was in the right spot. This is going to be another oval one that slides under. Let's pick it up. I'm going to pull it out a little more. There we go. And I could have glued these down first. I forgot that I've already figured out how to piece it. So I'm going to glue the outer part of the coat down. On both sides. Sorry I'm so quiet today, guys. I had doctor's appointments yesterday and so fun, and then again tomorrow. Yay. I haven't been doing much else. As you guys saw, I got Cinderella together. I don't have a lot of the glitter paper. That glitter paper came in the pack of 20 or 25 sheets from 12 by 12 cardstock shop. The glitter paper, what is it called? I want to say it's mixed. I'm not sure what it's called, but either way, it came out of that pack. So that being said, I only got one sheet of it. I have to order more if I am going to make more of the Cinderellas, which I have not made up my mind yet. And that's all in due time. I'm not in a hurry. Just, I got other obligations such as my post for 12 by 12 cardstock shop for my monthly video as well, which I already know what I'm gonna do. And somebody sent me a picture of a dinosaur and he's so cute. So I think we're gonna do him. And I just take my fingers and go around these if you do use sticker paper. I know somebody said that it's a nightmare. I run in between it all with my tweezers to grab what I can from the extra, and then I just touch it with my fingers to make sure that there isn't any around the edges. And these don't have to be perfect by any means in the same exact position. Like I said, you can place them wherever you'd like. I just don't know why I didn't think about gluing that down first, probably because I went back to the first one I made and I didn't glue them down because I didn't know where they were going yet specifically. So this I'm just going to lay over. That way I know where to put the other one. There is one that goes under the collar. I'm just going to push on that and slide it right under. And then for this side, make sure we're still, it's going to be the ones that are not the even oval. I need the edge of that though. And all I'm going to do is push down so that way I can lift it up. And then it's going to be another one that's not the even oval. But you can place them wherever you'd like, as I was saying. This is just for reference, her pattern. The picture, it gives you the pieces, so as long as you've used your pieces, you're fine. And the last one for the coat, so we can glue that down. We'll put that one right there. Now I'm going to glue the inner, well, the big old coat pieces down, and then the collar. The cigarette goes together fairly easy, especially the second time. I know the first time I had a little bit of an issue, so it's a little crooked, and that's fine. I'm gonna be the only one that notices it, just because it was my error. I have a little glue that is right here. Let me take off the glue that I got on her dress, even though it's going to be covered. All right, let's get the second part going. And I'm not doing this with a voiceover just because I'm trying to catch up with some of them, because there are a lot of them to do. So I figured whatever mistakes I make and whatever I catch on to later, I can always put it in the comments or the details of the videos. So the collar does not go on until after her head, only because the one on the left, it does puff up under her chin if you put her head on after. So her head goes down before. You can do it before or after, but by the picture, it goes on before, only because of this left one here. All right, now I'm gonna push her head down. Get it as even, but it even overlaps on there, and that's kind of how I found that out. The first time, like I said, for most of them, it's not as easy as the second and third time when you do more than one. I remember long ago on Lisa's Precious Piecings, it's called now, I believe, but hers were all numbered. You know, you had number 1 through 45, if there was 45 to just her one piece. Kira does her pieces still, and it makes me want to open that folder. I have all of her pieces. My mom and I used to be real big on those because those were one of the first sets along with my Scrap Chick. So we both have tons of files from the beginning of time when paper piecing started. And every time I see Kira's, I'm like, man, I really want to make that. All right, let me set these aside for now. That way I can put the cigarette together real quick. And there was a debate for me whether or not I was going to go around it with gray or blue or leave it alone. And I was even gonna do the tip gray with some vellum. Goodness, I don't want to bend it. But then with vellum is the smoke coming off, but I then thought about that and I'm like, I'm not gonna promote smoking. Let's not, even though she had a cigarette in her hand through the cartoons and the movies, right? But that's fine. It came out fine the way it is. I like it. So I just went around it with a light blue just to color up the edges of the white. That way it stands out a little more. Now for the cigarette part, it's this little itty bitty piece. what I did is I cut it out in the same peach I did her, but I went around it in the color Orange Pill by Catherine Pooler. That is the color that I inked around the edges. And that's what I tell everybody, is the color that you ink your edges with will make all the difference. The peach versus, well, the clay mask is the color I went around the skin, and the Orange Pill is the color I went around the cigarette, but it brings out different tones of colors depending on which color you actually go around your piece with. So now here's the piece that has the widened end, and that will be what holds the tip of the cigarette. And I have to clean all that glue off the tip there. And I do try to get it as even as possible. Because it will move on me. My puppies hear something outside. Sorry. You know, 5 pounds, they're like 500-pound bulldogs. My Great Danes over there, thinking they're gonna protect the house. Gotta love them. And I did the same thing for the cigarette as far as just having my stencil here. That way I can place the cigarette in the right place. So this goes behind her hand and the skinny piece goes on top. It took me a few minutes to realize what I was doing on the first go, and I still didn't clean that off. Shame on me. I gotta clean the tip of that real quick. But I didn't have it figured out the first try, and I played with it when it was dry, luckily. Now for this part, what I'm gonna do is put the glue behind her hand. And the only reason I did this is so they're all about the same length when you put them together. That way one's not longer, since I have the envelope and everything worked out perfect. But also because it helps me even them out. That way it's not crooked. Perfect. So the one with the bigger end goes behind the hand, and just the straight piece goes on top of the hand as such. Let me move these dots. And the hair, like I said, I just laid it down on my paper. This one goes to the other side. This would be the gray piece. This would be the black piece. And once I got them on, I didn't go far enough, did I? Wait, no, maybe that was right. It would. Oh, I cut out the same piece twice. All right, well, one is black and one is gray. That being said, no, they're right. I just didn't have it lined up. All I did was glue. I put the black one down under the bottom. And then I glued, and this is only if you're making more than one. You know, if a friend wants one or you sell them and you're going to be making multiples. And I put glue on these two longer pieces and right here as well. And I laid them over where they were inside the stencil. And then I pushed down on them just for a moment because art glitter glue dries very fast. And I let them dry, and then I just took my tweezers and took them off. Now, I was asked the other day, somebody said that they watched somebody's video and that they heard art glitter glue only ships in the warmer months. That's not true. Amazon will sell it all year round, and they just tell you if you're going to store it, to store it somewhere that's not cold. I've ordered art glitter glue all year round. It's one of the only glues I use, and I've had no issues getting it. 12 by 12 cardstock shop. I know that they don't have any right now. I had bought it in, I want to say November or December, which is colder than it is now, so I'm not sure if they're just out of stock, but Amazon has it. I just got it not that long ago because I had to order 2 more bottles. So this gray piece goes on top of the other gray piece. And I did use several different grays, and that's just because it's something I wanted to do. You could run them all the same gray, it's up to you. Me, I just went with a lighter and a darker. This one is a lot lighter, and this one's darker. And I haven't put those on yet. So once you glue her hair down, you're gonna have the back part protruding a little bit more, and that's because the gray part covers it. Supposed to cover it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a little bit here just to hold it down, and then I'll slide behind it and glue after I get the gray ones right where I want them. So the black one's gonna go down first, and that one's gonna go right into covering her ear. Which edge is it? Is it the skinnier? And it's this, I put the skinnier edge down instead of the wider, because one end is wider than the other. Let me put this in the other way. And I usually, like I said, would have art glitter glue holding it down, but I didn't get that far today, just because I wanted to get the video done. And the gray part, did I glue the wrong part? I did, but that's okay. Just rip it off when in doubt. This one's gonna go more above. There we go. Oh, I don't want that showing though. And where's my scissors? I do sometimes play around with the pieces until they're right how I want them. So what I'm gonna do so that doesn't show is cut that off. I think that's what I did in the last one as well. Also, it helps with the bulkiness for me. Okay, that's where I'm gonna put it right there. And I'm just gonna glue on the back. That way I know where the placement goes. And this front part, just because she's got so many pieces, that part was why I used art glitter glue on holding the hair down, why I was working on it. It's quite fun. Once you get it, that final look is absolutely wonderful. It's just a pain in the rump at first. And it looks weird, but that's why I did it when I was working over her. And now we're just gonna glue it all down. And she'll be finished. So the rounder parts of the hair get covered by the white, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm just covering them the best I can. There we go. I will turn her over. But But I did see something that I want to trim off. If I can get under it. I didn't want to ruin the piece. There we go. The ends, I played with them over and over. The tips, I should say, that go on the back side of her. I think they were made super long so they would be able to grab the other side. But they don't really have any purpose behind her because you can't see them. But that's it for her. She's done. I see that I rubbed her eye a little bit, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fix that little spot, and she's done. She is a little bit of work. It's mostly just the bangs because you want to get them just in the right spot, and hiding the longer pieces of hair behind her. And you can just snip those off, but she's all done. So any questions, let me know. I just kind of add a little bit of white onto her, and for her sizing in Cricut Design Space, I did make her 10.75, and that made her 6 inches tall. Have a good day, guys.